Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Deming, and today's episode is brought to you by Explore Tours. If you want to learn about the city of Nashville, come take a walking tour with us. We have the Downtown Nashville History Walking Tour. We cover the history of Nashville and what formed this city today and where the city is going in the future. You can head over to exploretours.com to book your tickets today and use the code ND10 to take 10% off the Nashville History Walking Tour. Today we're talking about school resource officers. We're talking about human trafficking. We're talking about a lot of heavy subjects today. And the guest joining me today is Bobby Young, the founder of Covert Results and Operation Rose. Bobby, who are you and what exactly do you do?
Well, I'm a guy that grew up outside of Nashville, and I started my career in law enforcement in 2007 with Metro Nashville Police Department. And I knew that I did not want to be that guy writing people tickets because nobody likes that guy. So I knew I wanted to do something fun, exhilarating, and what more exciting than smashing a door in with a ram and going in guns blazing.
So you're on SWAT?
I was not on SWAT.
Okay.
However, we trained with those guys all the time. So I worked mainly narcotics. 9 of the 11 years I was with the Metro Nashville Police Department. Essentially following in the footsteps of my dad, who was a police officer he was actually a federal agent for 30 plus years. So,
Okay.
Knew I wanted to be in law enforcement, and, did that and excelled very well and really loved it. Honestly, today I would still be there if it wasn't for politics. I mean, that's just hands down the reason why I'm not there anymore. Granted,
From the local government level or internally with the department?
Both.
Okay.
Both, absolutely. I mean, what you're seeing going around in the nation and what's probably been going on in the last 6-7 years with law enforcement and the disrespect, that really didn't bother me very much at all. I mean, I was head down, focused on working hard, but sometimes when you work really hard in government, you may not be well liked. Because there's other people that have to work and do things. Mm-hmm. So I just really enjoyed the job. And, we were focused at, working narcotics cases. We were focused on targeting drug trafficking organizations. So, I mean, you're not talking about a guy in a corner smoking a joint at all.
You guys, you're talking about gang related.
I mean, we're talking about kilograms, 2.2 pounds of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, all that, the hard stuff, right? I mean, that's what we're focused on. And, the last case that I worked at the 20th Judicial Drug Task Force that no longer exists, we seized 100 kilos of coke, tons of money, houses, cars, assets, indicted 90-something people.
Wow.
I mean, these are huge dealers.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's creating crime. And then about 3 to 4 months later, got an email saying this unit is no longer. So, yeah, and wrote a book about it just to tell the community, and the unit was awesome. They did nothing wrong, very hardworking, and obviously, if you can't tell by my tone, I mean, just a little bit bitter about it, but still,
especially how long was that process of doing that investigation for this big bust?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it took forever. And it literally, just time-wise, probably the beginning of 2014 all the way to March 2015.
Wow.
More than a year.
Mm-hmm.
With the 6 to 8 people that worked this case with me, dedicating their lives. I mean, I was doing Sunday dinners with my family with my radio. I mean, we're listening to the wire room. People are communicating through the radio. Hey, we got a guy coming to pick up 2 kilos. All right, well, we got to cover that deal because we need to take pictures and video what's going down. And,
And was that the only investigation you were working on at that time, or were you doing other ones as well?
Small ones, little one-offs, but I mean that's really your sole focus. I mean, I was the main agent working that case. Mm-hmm. I was the lead on it, and you typically have 2 people that are dedicated to helping, and then the other members of the unit and other agents with the team, they're working their own stuff, but they're all helping.
Of course,
we had a great team.
Of course,
we had a great team, but it really sucks because my dad died of cancer in 2017. and, you know, working these kind of cases. He loved being involved, like me telling him, you know, things and keeping up with it. And he's always excited. But, you know, when he died, the Metro Police Department took the overtime that I had away from me. So bereavement leave, they will take your overtime. So with the positivity, though, you know, I started thinking, what else can I do? Because I know I work hard, and I know if I focus on something, I can usually make something happen.
Before we get to that, if you don't mind me interrupting, could we talk about why Nashville has become such a central hub for the drug trade and human trafficking?
Well, the most easiest and obvious answer is that 3 major interstate systems all converge in Nashville. I think it's one of 6 or 7 cities in the entire nation that has 3 major interstate systems coming together.
Right, and it's downtown core.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it is the it city. It's been coined that for quite a while. I mean, where there's people, there's a high population, there's going to be drug use, there's going to be crime. So, I mean, some of it is not preventable, but then there is a lot that you could do to try to combat it, whether it's narcotics trafficking, human trafficking. There are things that can be done.
Do you think now we'll get back into your story, do you think from a regional perspective, the state is working well with the city of Nashville to put some of these people in prison?
No.
Okay.
No.
And I'm asking that from an outsider's point of view, and that's what I see.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't see Tennessee Highway Patrol doing any patrols in Middle Tennessee. Lebanon, yes. Centerville, yes. But not in Nashville, not in Franklin.
Yeah, so I mean, with THP, I mean, there's different policies and procedures. Obviously, they have jurisdiction over the whole state, but there's kind of like a MOU in a way where they're not doing enforcement in Nashville. However, I have seen them doing more stuff, Briley Parkway and things like that.
They've been picking up Briley Parkway a lot, so I've been seeing that recently.
Yeah, one of them got me back when I was an intern at the TBI. So
okay,
2006.
Yeah, Tennessee Highway Patrol is always interesting to work with. Franklin the police department is always interesting to work with too. Okay, so now let's get back into your personal story. So basically, the Metro Nashville Police Department took away some of your overtime, and then was there a decision to leave that and go start your own thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, so essentially, when the 20th drug task force was, I guess, dissolved, no one really knew about it.
This was the 20th.
Right. So in the state of Tennessee, there's different judicial districts. So in Nashville, it's the 20th, and then there'll be other counties within the state. So you might have
like Hamilton or Shelby or
So like the 18th judicial district is Sumner County and Robertson County. So pretty much every single judicial district in the whole state has some sort of drug task force, some sort of, you know, multi-agency partnership where people are solely focused on combating large drug trafficking for that jurisdiction.
Okay, but then they don't relate back to the other counties a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really just depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it really depends. So, I mean, you could have a Sumner County officer and a Robertson County officer working on the same unit together, but they're prosecuted under the 18th Judicial Task Force or Judicial District.
Yep, that makes sense.
So, but Nashville doesn't have one any longer. So
there's no drug task force enforcement in Davidson County?
Not by Metro Nashville Police.
Okay.
No, they do have drug units, and they do work hand in hand with other agencies, TBI, DEA, ATF, HSI, but it's just the sole focus is gone. It is gone. And, you know, maybe I have my own opinions about it. Maybe I can't really put my thumb on exactly what it is, but it's just sad, really. But the positive is I decided to start a business. My family, my grandfather owned like the only paint store on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. My uncle ran a flower shop. I mean, I have so many family members. My sister has been a business owner 20 plus years. She's in the Entrepreneurs Organization. So she was like, she acted like it was easy, saying, "Oh, just start a business, you know, PI and security." Oh, okay. Well, there's kind of a little rule with Metro Police that you can leave, and then you have 1 year in which you can come back. So I was like, look, I could leave, try this out, and then 364 days it doesn't work, I'd come back. I didn't have that mindset. My mindset was, I'm never coming back.
Well, there's other agencies, and if needed.
Yeah, and I mean, I had 11 years on, so you can actually retire after 10 years on. Once you're post-certified for 10 years plus with the agency, and you retire in good standing, then you get a pension. So, I mean, it'd be like $5. But,
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's fine. But no, I mean, you know, just kind of had a business plan together, had some good mentors. My sister obviously helped me out. I mean, I'm talking A to Z, from logo to website to business plan to, you know, who the key stakeholders are. I asked a lot of attorneys, like, you know, just if anybody's ever started a business, you would know basically what you do. Boots on the ground, you know, hustle. That's what you have to do. You know, you hustle. And the very first case we got was a missing person case that turned into a murder, where the person that kidnapped her was shot by police in a shootout in Clarksville. So the only person that knew where this girl was now dead. And we were actually probably within 100 yards interviewing some of the family members that when we found out who actually took her. We were up in Sumner County doing interviews, and we were about 100 yards from, unfortunately, the lady was found burned up in a barn. And we were so close to that. And in that case, we kind of worked with Metro Police. You know, I've definitely have friends. I mean, you know, it may have not have been the best exit, but my career with Metro Police overall was very positive. You know, you always have politics and interfighting and people not getting along, but you know what? I would never take that back. I mean, the experiences and the things that I saw and learned from Metro Police was like no other. I mean, there's no way I would be successful in my business and nonprofit today if it wasn't for the Metro Police Department. So, but you know, starting the business March 2018, and it just took off like wildfire. I mean, honestly, it just, you know, just hard work and dedication to entrepreneurship, and really just, you know, just diving into that, and you know, just giving it all I got. And you know, here we are 6 years later, 6 years into the business, and you know, full scale private investigations, got 15 plus licensed investigators. We have over 100 armed security officers, many of them active police, law enforcement, a lot of retired law enforcement and military personnel. So that, you know, the coolest thing about that side of the business is we have never posted on Monster, Indeed, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We've never said, hey, we're looking for people.
They just reach out to you.
It's all word of mouth.
That's great. That's fantastic. So you also do private security as well, and then you do school resource officers that are armed.
Yeah. So
and you also do active firearm trainings.
Yep.
And what else do you have? You're a certified Tennessee firearm instructor. What else do you do within the organization?
Well, we recently acquired some technology or software called Celebrite. So it's kind of under the cybersecurity space. So we do some cybersecurity within our business. We also have, it's kind of funny, maybe people laugh, but we call it the Catfish Task Force.
That's fun.
So it is fun. It is fun. So typically men that we're dealing with are reaching out to females that they have no idea who they are, but they think they're pretty, and they're communicating with them online. And it's probably somebody that may look like me and you that's actually talking to them. And they hook them in. They figure out who they are. They figure out they're married with kids, and then they extort them.
Yep.
And we've dealt with a number of those. We've, you know, dealt with it in Nashville. We've dealt with it across the country. And, you know, it does cost them money, but, you know, 99% of the time we figure out who it is and we stop the problem.
Yeah. And then do you guys have your own internal, like, legal team as well that will help your investigators and stuff?
Yeah, so, I mean, the majority of our clients are actually lawyers, so we want to work through lawyers so that our private clients have attorney-client privilege.
Of course.
So, I mean, we probably worked for 300 or 400 different attorneys over the last 6 years.
Oh, wow.
And, But hands down, the very best attorney that I know that we have is my wife.
That's awesome. That's great. So now let's get into a nonprofit that you started in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And this nonprofit is called Operation Rose, and it's an organization that is educating people on the signs of human trafficking throughout Nashville. Are you guys going more regional as well, or are you primarily providing that education in Nashville right now?
Right now, we're just solely focused on Nashville, Middle Tennessee area. We've been out to Mount Juliet, Bellevue, Brentwood. We have been asked recently. We attended a conference put on by the Greater Hospitality Association in Nashville, and it was great. And we met a lot of good hotelers that were in management with hotels, and Gatlinburg area had asked if we would come and travel. Sure, absolutely. The training is free. So, and we can customize it. We've been asked for 30 minutes, which you're not really going to get the full effect for 30 minutes, but we understand. I really understand how hard it is to get 20, 30, 40 employees all in one place at one time. It's almost impossible. But normally our program is 2 hours, and our head trainer is Jason Mayo. He's a retired Metro Nashville police detective. He did all human trafficking cases the last 7 years with Metro. He developed their training programs. I mean, who better to teach about human trafficking than somebody that's done it in Nashville? So the signs, the indicators, the things to look for, that's what we're doing. Strictly awareness. Now, we have the idea of having an investigations division. We work well with other nonprofits such as Rescue One Global and Hope for Justice. Hope for Justice has a great investigative team. Yep.
They did a bust in Antioch. I think it was 2 years ago, and I think the work they did was 15 or 16 individuals are arrested in Antioch. They rescued 6 young girls from being trafficked in Antioch. So yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. So we work well with them. Some nonprofits and government, you think they're all hugged up and it's great and they're married together, and that's just not the truth.
Yeah.
So, and that's unfortunate, but we have the investigative mindset and the element. We have more databases than the police department, and we also have more time to dedicate to an investigation. So I say that to say that we do have aspirations of having an investigation division, only because when we're teaching at hotels and motels, that's where it's occurring. They're going to reach out to us. They're going to trust us and say, look, hey, Operation Rose, you were here last month. You gave us the signs and indicators to look for. We got a guy hanging out in the lobby, people coming and going from the room. The girl's coming and going from the room. She's wearing the same thing, every day of the week. She has one grocery sack. It looks like her life's in that bag. She looks like she's on narcotics. All signs and indicators, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be something, but why not let us, who are retired investigators, go vet that? Mm-hmm. It could be something. It may not be. But our policies, procedures, and process we've put in place for Operation Rose for investigations is we start by reporting it. Yep. As far as we document that, so that there's a paper trail. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I have to testify in state or federal court, I say it started with a phone call and from this person, and I document it in a report, and then we called the police department or Hope for Justice, and we work parallel with them. I mean, it's just all about writing it down in steps. And then, mm-hmm. But we enjoy doing the surveillance aspect in our private business with Covert Results. We do a lot of surveillance cases. So, I mean, we're very skilled and equipped. I mean, we've got retired Army officers and medics. We've got retired ATF agents. I mean, we've got a really good team of people.
So let's talk about human trafficking and the effects of what's happening in Nashville. I've heard multiple stories of girls basically being shipped into some of these luxury hotels into downtown Nashville, especially when there's a big event, and that's a big time for human trafficking. We hear all these stories of these guys in Brentwood that were busted. There was a house in Brentwood that was shipping in and out girls, and young girls, like 6, 7 years old. So how is Nashville being impacted by this thing that's becoming the largest thing in the United States from a profit standpoint? That's a $150 billion industry. They're saying that human trafficking in the next 5 years can be a $1 trillion industry. So how is that affecting the city of Nashville right now?
Well, and just the first point to make, especially if people have seen The Sound of Freedom, they may understand, a little bit about how it can be such a big business. Is real quick, if you have a line of cocaine right there in front of you, if you snort it, it's gone. The drugs are gone.
Yep.
With a person, you can use them over and over and
10
over
times a day.
again. And I mean, honestly, that is what is so sad.
Mm-hmm.
At Nashville, I mean, just what we talked a little bit about before. I mean, just goes hands in hands with the drug network. Is that Nashville you can get in and out very easily. It's a hot spot for tourism. As far as girls being brought in here, a lot of that can be run by gangs and cartels. I mean, they can run a circuit all the way from Chicago down to Knoxville to Atlanta, over back up, Chattanooga, Nashville, Memphis. So, I mean, Jason talks a lot about how, he was targeting some of those organizations and how they would literally just roam in a circle and almost control, even the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's obviously a demand, which is terrible to say, but there are people obviously that are infatuated with these little kids. And those are the ones, that need to be investigated, obviously. And then also the traffickers. I mean, everybody, it's like when I work conspiracy cases, there's obviously more than one person involved. And just, again, to reference the movie, is the agent took down one person and then he was able to flip them, and then they kept flipping people. They kept getting people to talk. And, I mean, that's exactly what you have to do. But it takes a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of work. So, I know that Metro Police had developed 2 human trafficking units, and they obviously saw that it was a problem in Nashville, and then I think the unit was active maybe 2 years, and now it's gone. No more human trafficking units. I mean, to what I know, a lot of those detectives were moved to other areas. I think the Youth Services Division is going to be focusing on some of that stuff.
Okay.
Not that they're not talented at all, and not that they're not going to focus on human trafficking investigations, but it just says something that you develop 2 units to focus on that, and we tried to partner up with them and help in any way we can, and now they're gone. They totally took them away. So I don't want to speculate on that, but it just and there's no telling exactly how they got brought in here, like you said, shipped in here.
It could be a cargo truck. It could be a van. It could be anything.
Right. And we know just from, our own experiences and what we know from being with the police department and government and stats and studying human trafficking and how to combat it. But a majority of the children under 18 are runaways.
Yep.
So I know DCS has some new things going and some new management going on. So, I mean, if anybody watches the news, they see how DCS is, they've always struggled. So it's no secret.
Let's talk about the runaways for a second. I know from stories I've heard, basically a child will run away and there's somebody that will step into their life and say, hey, I have a place for you to stay. I'm going to feed you. I'll take care of you. I'll clothe you. They do this for a couple weeks, and then they say, hey, you need to repay me for what I've provided for you. And that's how the cycle just keeps happening. Then they start giving them drugs, and they drug them up, and then it's just a really awful situation.
Absolutely. I mean, there's various tactics that are coined like a certain way, but obviously grooming is probably the one most people and citizens are familiar with. So, I mean, that's obviously a tactic. I mean, I hate seeing the news with that guy that was, arrested.
The soccer coach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk offline what should happen to that guy. But,
I probably agree with you.
Yeah.
So recently, Nashville went through a very tragic moment. We had the Covert shooting that happened in March. the state of Tennessee has allocated $200 million for school safety throughout schools in Tennessee. And they were trying to get school resource officers in every school in the state of Tennessee. Last week, Metro Nashville, the police department, said they didn't have the capacity to have 70 different officers to train and do all these things. So what's your thoughts on everything happening in the state level and Metro Nashville Police Department?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously security's been a big concern years ago, right? We're talking about active shooter situations, not once a year, not twice a year, but every week. Yep. I mean, we've become normal to it. So, it is sad that it took this long to kind of get something going. Something had to happen in our backyard to really realize, okay, who do we need to protect? I mean, your banks are protected, your politicians are protected. I mean, there's many things and assets in this town that is protected by armed security, police officers, and things. Why aren't our kids protected? All of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't understand it. Now, with with the question about protecting 70 elementary schools, it's never been done before. So, we are 2 weeks from starting school?
Yep.
Ish.
2 weeks.
Why are we just now talking about it? Mm-hmm. This should have been a conversation the first week of April. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, guys, we're gonna need to put an officer in every single school. Hands down, that's it. Chief Drake is doing everything he can. Amazing chief. I worked for him when he was a lieutenant at the Hermitage Precinct. Loved him. We met with him directly about Operation Rose, and he was a thumbs up. But I can't help but think that, yes, you cannot just magically make up 70 people. Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. The funding that could be available, you'd have to go through the academy, which is 25 weeks, train them as a SRO. Usually SROs are not even eligible until they've been on a couple of years. You don't want somebody just fresh out of the academy, right? So you got to make sure they're a good fit. So it's definitely challenging, but I mean, just in my own opinion, I would say that I would have been thinking about April the 1st. How can I do this? Can I move units around? What can I do to, even if it's 40 people? I mean, there's probably a school security assessment that has been done on every school. If not, it should happen. We've done some. I've just did a presentation for my church last week about a security assessment, just so you know the vulnerabilities of what's going on. And if you've identified in your security assessment that there's 37 schools that are most vulnerable, then, yes, you have 70, but at least try to put somebody in those schools and ensure, tell the schools, the community, give them some peace of mind to know that we're working on that and we're going to staff as many schools as we can, including the elementary. Mm-hmm. And if they can't, why not rely on vetted contract security companies like Covert Results? Might be biased, but there are other good companies out there that have really good officers. And I'm talking people, like I used an example. I mean, we've got an officer retired from Arizona, retired from Williamson County Sheriff's Department that ran the SRO program. We've got a SWAT officer retired from Colorado. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Yeah. That's the caliber of people that need to be in the schools. Yep. Vetted, quality. And there are those kind of people. We're talking 9/11 mentality here. Yep. Protect our kids. Yep. So we got to do what we got to do to put them in there. I saw a poll talking about, should schools have to pay for their own security? And I'm not sure if the poll was saying, like, the school literally has to pay, or should, like, the state allow contract security companies to be in the public elementary schools. I mean, do I have 70 people that I could put out there? No, I do not. But if you give me about 3 weeks, could I probably do it? Yeah. Yeah. I would love the challenge for whoever's listening.
Yeah, so if you have a private school, or if any type of security that you need.
Exactly. So, I mean, right now we're in either 10 or 11 schools. We signed one yesterday. We're going to have a dedicated armed security officer, which we're actually calling them a school guardian.
That's a great name.
Even though it's just a little bit different than an SRO. So what you've seen across the country as far as SROs, and I hate how the media portrays, of course there's 4 trillion great incidences with SROs and children. But then you see that one where that SRO, the kid, slaps the teacher. The SRO comes up, picks them up, and slams them down, breaks their leg or arm or whatever. Guy gets sued, guy gets fired, officer, all that. And I mean, that's, unfortunately, that's what the insurance companies see it that way. But we are telling the schools, look, we're there to stop an active threat.
Yep.
We're not there to discipline the kids. And they all love that and agree with that, and we love it. And a majority of the schools we're in are actually just K through 6, K through 8. So that's even better. And I mean, just to kind of hit it home is, in May, I didn't even know all of our officers were getting cards from kids and staff. We just happened to text, like me and my director of ops, Truman. She's awesome. She's like, hey, do y'all have any, we don't want to be in pictures with kids. We're not, you don't want to post kids on, social media and all that. But we're like, do you have anything? Did they give you anything? And we got literally like 10 or 15 texts immediately with all these cards, just crayon out. And one sticks in my mind the most. And when, we did a training at Covenant Church just last night, and it says, Dear Officer Welch. And I mean, it's all, you can't even hardly read it. It's all sideways and stuff. But it says, you changed my mind on policemen. Thank you so much for protecting us. Our protector. That's what it says.
That's
and
great.
Then it says love and then the child's name. So, I mean, that's what we're doing this stuff for.
Yep.
That's what we're doing it for. And, I mean, that's, that is part of our armed security business. Now, what is a differentiator with us is we're a full-scale private investigations company. Any intel, we can run tags, we can pull a background check. When we've pitched that to the schools, and it's been utilized very well. I mean, Covenant, I'm trying to think how to word this correctly without giving up too much intel, but essentially there was a concern of someone hanging around after the fact at an outside event. And basically we took a tag and figure out who they were, where they worked, talked to their boss. Actually, the boss moved them to another state, because the boss could not explain why that person was hanging out at this location. They're like, that person is working over here on this side of town, but why are they over here on this side of town by themselves, taking notes, just very odd, just things that stick out.
Yeah.
Right, but so we delivered the school a full intel packet, pictures, the summary of all of our interviews. We actually did surveillance. We have a database where I can run your tag where it's essentially like the license plate reader cameras, but there's third-party companies out there that go around and take pictures of your tag. I know, crazy, but
it happens.
We have a database that we tracked the guy to a motel, and then we did surveillance until he was basically has to leave the state. So, I mean, stuff like that is what we do. We love the investigation side, and then the armed security side as well. We do other armed security within Middle Tennessee. We kind of started more plainclothes, but when you're in the schools, you want to be more of as a visible deterrent. But we do have a couple schools that want more of the plainclothes look, which is understandable as well. And the whole deal is we want them to be comfortable. Peace of mind.
Absolutely. Robert, where could people go to your website? Where can people learn more about what you guys are doing with Operation Rose? So give me all those links and the socials.
Absolutely. So to learn more about Operation Rose, which is our human trafficking nonprofit where we are combating human trafficking in Nashville and surrounding areas by doing free training. Hotels, motels, and schools are our main target. However, we will do training to any group. Go to operationrose.org. It's very user-friendly, and we have our website, operationrose.org, is very user-friendly. You can actually go on our website and schedule a training, free training. And also, we'd like to tell you that we have an event coming up. It's our second annual benefit, and it's going to be at the True Hilton in Mount Juliet on September the 30th of this year. And, we're currently looking, it's going to be a silent auction and just a benefit dinner, a great time. Last year was our first one. It was amazing. raise a lot of funds so that we can get good equipment to do our training. Because what we found is some places we do the training doesn't have AV at all, or good AV, like y'all have in here, is awesome. So doing that and just continuing the outreach. And then our business, Covert Results, is private investigations, armed security, cybersecurity, and training firm. Go to covertresults.com to learn more about that.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Nashville Daily Podcast. It was a pleasure to hear the stories of what's happening here in Nashville. Hopefully, what we talked about would bring some things to the light. So head over to NashvilleDailyPodcast.com to learn more. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast. If you want to learn more, head to NashvilleDailyPodcast.com.
You can also follow us on social media at explore.nash on Instagram, Nashville Daily Podcast on YouTube, and explore.nash on YouTube as well.
The Nashville Daily Podcast is an Explore LLC production, copyright 2023.